There was a bowl of rice on the kitchen table. No one put it there. No one knew how long it had been sitting. It was just there on the old wooden table, in the soft light of early morning, and Daniel could not look away. He stood at the kitchen door. His keys were still in his hand. He had driven 6 hours to get here. He had just walked into his mother's house for the first time in 2 years, and the first thing he saw, not her photo, not the flowers, not the neighbors waiting outside, was a bowl of white rice, already cold, sitting quietly on the table. The kitchen was cold. There was no sound. Daniel did not eat the rice. He did not touch it. He just stood there and looked at it. He did not understand why his chest felt so heavy. He did not understand why he could not move his feet. He just stood at the door, holding his keys, looking at a bowl of cold rice on an old wooden table. He stood there for a long time. His full name was Daniel Carter, 36 years old. He lived in Chicago, Illinois. He worked as a software engineer at a big company downtown. Daniel's job was busy, always busy. He stayed up until 11 or 12 at night. He woke up at 6 in the morning. He drank his coffee in the elevator. He ate lunch in front of his computer. On weekends, he still had online meetings. There was always one more thing to do. Always one more email to send. Always one more problem to fix before he could rest. His mother, Margaret, lived alone in a small town in Ohio, about 300 miles from Chicago, 6 hours by car, or 1 hour by plane, but Daniel had never flown home to see her. He always said, "Driving is easier. I can leave whenever I want." The truth was, he had never bought a ticket. The truth was, he had not gone home in a long time. Margaret called Daniel every Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. She was never late, not once. Every time he heard his phone ring, Daniel looked at the screen. He saw the word "Mom," and most of the time, he let it ring 1 or 2 more times before he answered. Not because he did not want to talk. He was just busy, always busy with something. The meeting, the report, the deadline that had to be done before Monday. His mother asked, "Are you eating well? Are you wearing enough warm clothes? Is it snowing in Chicago today?" Daniel answered, "I'm fine, Mom. Don't worry. I'm really busy right now. I'll call you back later and tell you more." His mother said, "Okay, go do your work. I'm fine." Always the same words. "I'm fine." Daniel believed her. He did not ask more. He did not know what she ate every night. He did not know if she slept well. He did not know if she was lonely alone in that house, with the Ohio winter outside, cold enough to freeze the water on the front steps. He did not know, because he did not ask. The last time Daniel went home was Thanksgiving 2 years ago. He stayed 3 days. His mother cooked turkey and made mashed potatoes and baked an apple pie. The house smelled warm. His mother moved from the kitchen to the dining room and back again, carrying plates, filling glasses, making sure everything was ready. She said, "I'm so happy you're home." Daniel nodded. He ate. He said the food was good. After dinner, he went upstairs to check his email. He did not remember if he had hugged her before he got in the car to drive back. But Daniel remembered the mornings when he was young. Back then, they lived in this same house. this same kitchen. This wooden table had been here since before Daniel was tall enough to reach it. He used to stand on his toes just to put his cup on it. His mother woke up before 5 in the morning, when Ohio was still dark and cold outside. He heard her footsteps in the kitchen, slow and soft, the sound of water running in the sink, the sound of a pot being placed on the stove, and then, after a little while, the smell of rice. The smell of white rice cooking moved slowly through the small house, through the hallway, up the stairs, under his bedroom door. That was how Daniel knew morning had come. Not an alarm clock, not the light through the window, the smell of rice. His mother cooked white rice every morning, even when snow was falling outside, even when the temperature dropped below 0, even when the sky was still dark at 7 in the morning. She said, "You need hot rice in the morning to have enough energy for school. Bread fills your stomach, but it does not keep you warm the same way." Daniel did not really understand that when he was small. He just knew the rice was always there. He ate fast, standing up sometimes, his backpack already on his shoulders, his coat not yet fully buttoned. His mother stood at the kitchen door. She watched him eat. She watched him pick up his bag and head to the door. She did not say much. Just, "Be careful on the road. Have a good day." He walked out. She stood at the door. There was one thing Daniel only thought about much later. His mother always gave him more rice than she gave herself, every single morning. Her bowl was always smaller than his. He asked her once when he was maybe 10 years old, "Why do you always eat less than me?" She said, "I'm not very hungry in the morning. You're still growing. You need more food than I do." Daniel believed her. He did not ask again. He never once asked her if she was truly hungry. In Ohio winters, some mornings the temperature dropped to 10 below 0. The roads turned to ice. The wind found every small crack in the walls. And his mother still woke up before 5, still came down to the dark kitchen, still cooked rice, still stood at the door in the cold morning air and watched him walk down the path to school. The warm steam from that bowl of rice rose up in the cold air of the kitchen, small and quiet. But Daniel remembered it his whole life, even when he did not know he was remembering. His mother began to get weaker last year. Not suddenly, slowly the way autumn comes. Leaves do not all fall at once. They fall one by one, so slowly that people do not notice until one day they look up and the tree is already empty. First, it was her left knee. Walking became harder. The stairs in the house became a problem. She did not tell Daniel. She just started using the wall to hold herself up when she came down to the kitchen each morning. She put her right hand flat against the wall and went down one step at a time. Then it was her hands. A small shake. Not much, just enough to make holding a full pot of water harder than before. She did not tell Daniel. She just started using a smaller pot, a lighter one. One she could manage on her own. She still cooked rice every morning. The neighbor, Eleanor, 68 years old, living alone in the house across the street, sometimes saw the kitchen light in Margaret's house on at 4:30 in the morning. The light coming through the window in the dark. Eleanor knocked on the door one morning to check on her. Margaret opened the door, smiled, and said, I'm fine. I just wake up early out of habit. Come in. I'll make you some tea. One evening in November, Margaret slipped in the kitchen. The floor was wet because she had just washed the dinner dishes. She fell. Her knee hit the floor. It hurt. She lay there on the cold kitchen floor for a moment, looking up at the ceiling, breathing slowly, waiting for the pain to become smaller. Then she got up by herself. She did not call Eleanor. She did not call Daniel. She held on to the edge of the kitchen table, pushed herself up, stood still for a moment, then washed her hands and kept washing the dishes. That same night, his mother called Daniel. He was in an online meeting. He saw the word Mom on his phone screen. He turned the phone face down on the desk. 15 minutes later, the meeting ended. He called her back. His mother asked, "Have you eaten dinner yet?" Daniel said, "Not yet. I had a meeting that went long." "Is everything okay, Mom?" His mother said, "Everything is fine. I just wanted to hear your voice. Go eat something. It's getting late where you are." Daniel said, "Okay, thanks, Mom. I'll call you soon." He did not call soon. He got busy again. Days passed. That winter in Ohio was colder than most years. The temperature dropped to 20 below zero in January. The roads were sheets of ice. Schools closed. Eleanor stayed inside most days and only went out when she had to. Margaret still woke up every morning, still put her hand on the wall and came down the stairs, still came into the kitchen, still cooked rice even though there was only one person to eat it now, one bowl, one pair of chopsticks, the small yellow kitchen light on in the dark, no other sound in the house. She sat at the table and ate alone. She looked out the window at the snow. She did not call Daniel to tell him any of this. In March, Eleanor called Daniel. Her voice was calm, but calm in the way of someone who has taken a breath before saying something hard. She said, "Daniel, your mother did not wake up this morning. I called an ambulance. They came quickly. But Daniel, you should come home now." Daniel heard those words. He sat very still. He looked at his computer screen, at the open windows, the spreadsheets, the unread emails. Then he stood up. He turned off the computer. He took his coat from the hook by the door. He drove 6 hours through the night in complete silence. He arrived near dark. His mother was no longer there. Eleanor stood at the front door, waiting. She did not say many words. She put her hand gently on Daniel's shoulder and held it there for a moment. Then she walked back across the street to her own house. Daniel went inside alone. The house was dark, cold. It had the smell of a place that had been quiet for too long, where the air had stopped moving, where no one had opened a window or laughed out loud or made noise in the kitchen. He walked slowly to the back of the house. He walked into the kitchen, and he saw the bowl of white rice on the table, already cold, already still. Who had put it there, he did not know. Maybe Eleanor had cooked it that morning and left it there in case he was hungry after the long drive. Or maybe no one had put it there. Maybe it was the bowl his mother cooked the morning she did not wake up, the bowl she never got to eat. Daniel did not know. He stood at the kitchen door, just as he had stood when he was a boy, holding his keys, looking at the bowl. He stood there a long time. 3 days later, Daniel started to clean the house. He was not in a hurry. He told his company he needed more time. He had no reason to go back yet. He just moved from room to room, slowly, carefully opening drawers, looking through old boxes, holding up things his mother had kept for years, a coffee mug with a small chip on the handle, a calendar from 5 years ago still on the wall, a pair of reading glasses on the nightstand beside her bed, folded, waiting. On the third day, he cleaned the kitchen. In one corner of the kitchen, there was an old tin box, the kind that stores sell Christmas cookies in round, painted with a winter scene, but there were no cookies inside. Inside there was rice, jasmine rice, about 1 pound left, dry and clean and waiting. Daniel picked up the box. He was about to pour the rice into the trash bag, and he saw it, a small piece of paper, folded 4 times. It was sitting at the bottom of the box, under the rice yellow with age, soft at the edges, the handwriting very small and slightly tilted to the right. Daniel put the box down. He unfolded the paper carefully. It was not a letter to him. It was a note his mother had written a long time ago. From the way the paper looked, he guessed she wrote it before he was born. It was cooking instructions, 8 careful steps for making rice porridge for her own father when he was sick, his grandfather, a man Daniel had never met. The note said, "Wash the rice 3 times until the water runs clear. Let it sit for 15 minutes. Cook on low heat with no lid. Stir slowly every 5 minutes. Add a small pinch of salt, he likes it that way. Do not let it get too thick. Put it in a bowl and let it cool a little before you give it to him. And remember, sit with him while he eats. He does not say so, but he needs someone there." Daniel read it once. He stood very still. He read it again. He looked at the tin box in his hands. He looked at the small piece of paper. He looked across the kitchen at the table, where the bowl of white rice was still sitting, cold and quiet and waiting. His mother wrote this when she was a young woman, to take care of her sick father. She made rice porridge for him every day and sat with him while he ate. And 30 years later, she still kept this piece of paper under the rice in an old tin box in the corner of her kitchen, like something too important to throw away. Not because she needed help remembering how to cook porridge. She already knew how to cook porridge. She had known for 30 years. She kept it because of the last line, "Sit with him while he eats." He does not say so, but he needs someone there. Daniel set the paper down on the kitchen table, very slowly, very carefully. He sat down on the kitchen floor, not because he was tired. He just needed to sit down right there, right then. He did not cry right away. He sat with his back against the low kitchen cabinet and looked up at the ceiling, the yellow kitchen light, the old wooden ceiling, the silence of the house around him. And he understood something he should have understood a long time ago. His mother had loved him like this his whole life, quietly, carefully, without ever telling him, without ever asking him to notice, getting up before 5 every morning to cook rice before he woke up, giving him the bigger bowl every time, for years, calling every Sunday at 10 o'clock, always asking, "Have you eaten? Are you warm enough? Are you okay?" Even on the same night she fell on the kitchen floor and told no one. Her love was never loud. It never asked for anything back. It was just there, like the bowl of white rice on the table every morning, without fail, until one morning it was not. Daniel stayed 4 more days. He did not make plans. He just stayed. He did not open his laptop. He did not check his work email. He just moved through the house slowly, day by day, the way you move through something you are not ready to leave. On the morning of the 4th day, he came down to the kitchen before the sun came up. He stood at the counter and looked at the tin box. He thought he had never cooked rice by himself. Not once. Not in his whole adult life. He always bought food at restaurants or ordered delivery. It had never seemed important to learn. He opened the tin box. 1 pound of rice left, enough for a few bowls. He took the small pot from the cabinet. He put some rice in. He carried it to the sink. He washed the rice 3 times, just like the note said. The first water came out cloudy and white. The second was a little clearer. The third was almost clean. He poured fresh water into the pot. He put it on the stove. He turned the heat to low. He stood next to the stove and waited. He did not pick up his phone. He did not check the time. He just stood there in his mother's kitchen, in the early morning dark, and watched the pot. Steam began to rise from the water, a little at first, then more, and then slowly the smell of cooking rice came out into the air. Daniel stood still. That smell. He knew that smell better than almost anything in the world. He had known it since before he could read, since before he could tie his shoes, since before he understood what a morning was. It was the smell of this kitchen at 5 in the morning, in the dark, in the cold Ohio winter, when his mother was already awake and moving quietly so she would not disturb him. The rice came out a little soft. He had used too much water. It did not look the way his mother's rice looked, but he put it in a bowl. He carried it to the table. He sat down in his mother's chair. He ate the whole bowl. That evening, he called Eleanor. He asked if she would tell him about his mother's last months. Eleanor said yes. She spoke slowly and honestly, the way older people sometimes do when they know that the truth matters more than comfort. She told him about the fall in November. She told him about the kitchen light on at 4:30 every morning all through the winter. She told him his mother used to stand at the front window in the evenings and look out at the empty street, just standing there, looking for a long time. Daniel listened to all of it without speaking. When Eleanor finished, he said, "Thank you. Thank you for looking after her." He ended the call. He sat at the kitchen table and did not move for a while. That night, he sat in his mother's chair and looked out the kitchen window. Outside, it was dark and quiet. No snow tonight. The Ohio sky was low and still. A few stars, very faint. He did not think about work. He did not think about Chicago or deadlines or emails. He just sat there in that kitchen, in that chair, in that quiet, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, he was fully present, not somewhere else in his head. Just there, in that room, in that moment. Nothing big happened. No sudden understanding. No clear answer. Just a man sitting alone in his mother's kitchen at night, and something inside him, some tight and tired thing, becoming a little less tight, a little less tired. On the morning Daniel drove back to Chicago, he woke up before 5. The room was dark. The house was quiet. He lay in bed for a moment, and then he got up. He went down to the kitchen. He took the tin box. There was just enough rice left for one bowl. He washed the rice 3 times. He put it in the small pot with fresh water. He turned the heat to low. He stood next to the stove and waited in the dark kitchen and did not hurry. When the rice was done, he put it in a bowl. He carried it to the table. He set it down in the center, on the old wooden table. In the quiet light of early morning, he stood back and looked at it. A bowl of white rice, the old wooden table, the soft morning light coming through the window, a small line of steam rising up, slow and thin. It looked just like what he had seen when he first walked into this house 2 weeks ago. Same table, same light, same silence, same bowl of rice, sitting still. But it was not the same, because now he understood. He put on his coat. He checked that the back door was locked. He picked up his bag and walked to the car. He put his bag in the back seat. He sat in the front seat. He did not start the car right away. He looked back at the house, the front door, the window of his mother's bedroom upstairs, the soft yellow light showing through the kitchen window. He had left the kitchen light on. He had forgotten to turn it off. He sat there for a moment. Then he started the car. He drove away, and he left the light on. Maybe there is someone in your life like that. Someone who loves you without many words. You still have time. Love is not always the words we say. Sometimes it is the rice, still warm, waiting on the table. He closed the door. The bowl of rice was still warm.